and welcome to our final section for 1-3, Applied Vertical Angles. Now in example 1, it says this: given angle AED equals 54 degrees. Now let's go ahead and label that. In fact, for this, let me switch to here. So we have angle AED, and we can write 54 degrees. Find the measure of angle AEC. So let's see, if I go A to E to C, we want to know that angle. And it also says find the measure of angle CEB. So we go from C to E to B. And we want to find this angle as well. Okay, now here's where a lot of students really struggle to see this, but whenever you're looking at any sort of picture in geometry and you have any two lines crossing, so for example here we see it from A, E, B, we see that line is crossing D, E, C, you're always going to create opposite angles. And remember, what do we call opposite angles? That's another way of saying vertical angles. And what do we know about vertical angles? They are congruent. So if this is 54, then this angle right here must also be 54. And we have actually answered part of our question. We know what angle CEB actually is. That would be 54 degrees. Now the one that's a little bit trickier is going to be this angle AEC. Notice it's not a vertical angle, it's right beside this angle. We're going to have to call this an adjacent angle. We learned about these last time in our last lesson. So how do you find an adjacent angle? Well, remember, any two angles on a straight line add up to 180. Good. And so we can say this: 180 minus 54 will give us our answer. So that should be 126 degrees. And so we can say this, let me write this in a better color. We can say that angle AEC is equal to 126 degrees. Pause the video, finish taking any notes that you need, and let's move on to our second example. For our second example, we want to find the measure of angle AED when given CEA is equal to 2x plus 3 meters. Let's go ahead and find that out. We start at C, we go to E, and we go to A. Of course, we're looking at that angle, which is 2x plus 3. Now, I want you to look at DEB. Before I write it, I just want you to ask yourself, is DEB the top, the right, or the bottom angle? Which one do you think? 3, 2, 1. And if you said the right, you were correct, because we have angle DEB. And I can go in and I can write 5x minus 33 right there. Now, so let's take a look here. When you look at these two angles, do you think that they are beside each other or across from each other? And if they're across from each other, or if they are opposite from each other, what would that imply? Well, they are in fact opposite angles across from each other, and so they're vertical angles, and we know that all vertical angles are congruent. So we can write angle CEA is congruent to angle DEB. Now we can plug in our expressions, and so we have 2x plus 3 is equal to our second angle, which is going to be 5x minus 33. Now from here, you should be feeling very comfortable with problems like this, but we see that there's an x on both sides, and ask yourself, which x should I move? The larger x or the smaller x? Of course, we're going to move the smaller x, so minus 2x. What we do to the left, we do to the right, minus 2x. And this will, of course, give us 3 is equal to 5x minus 2x, which is 3x minus 33. Now from here, what would you do to get x by itself? Would you get rid of the 3 or the minus 33 first? And we should get rid of the subtraction first, so the opposite of subtraction would be addition. We'll add 33 to both sides. And 3 plus 33 will be 36. is equal to 3x. Now from here, how are we going to get rid of that 3? What should we do? Well, we divide both sides by 3. We always divide to get rid of multiplication. And what is 36 divided by 3? Well, that, if you use your calculator, should give you 12. Okay, now from here, we know what x is, but that's not what the question's asking for. The question is asking us for what is the measure of angle AED. And notice A to E to D is actually this top angle. So that's what we're actually looking for. So we're going to have to do two things here. One, we're going to have to figure out how big either one of these angles is, and then we'll have to use this angle to get to this angle that we're looking for. And this is where, once again, this is where geometry starts to get a little difficult. It's not about just finding x, it's about applying x and seeing how that relates into the broader problem as a whole. So when you look at 2x plus 3, or you look at 5x minus 33, which one of those immediately jumps out to you as being easier to work with? And hopefully you said 2x plus 3. So I'm going to take my 2x plus 3, and we're going to plug in our x, which was 12. What is 2 times 12? If you need a calculator, that's okay, but that's going to give you 24 plus 3. Now what is 24 plus 3? That's going to be 27 degrees. And notice, we now know that this is 27 degrees. But that doesn't totally get us our answer. When you look at this, remember, this angle right here and this angle right here, so AEC and AED, are both on a straight line. What do we know about straight lines? They add up to 180 degrees. So we'll take that 27, we will subtract it from 180 degrees, and 180 minus 27 should give us 153 degrees. I don't know why my stylus is not writing so well right now. You have my apologies. And so that would be our answer. Angle AED is equal to 150 degrees. Alright, I've got one final problem for you guys. So pause this, finish taking your notes, and let's move on to the next. And here's our last example of the entire lesson. We made it. Now I want you to take a look at this. It's example 3. It says given DOC, or angle DOC, is 7x plus 3. And kind of like last time, where do you think DOC is? Is it the top, right, bottom, or left angle? What do you think? And if you start to D and go to D to O to C, you'll see that DOC is in fact the top angle. And so we can write this angle is 7x plus 3, of course, degrees. Now how about BOC? Is it the left, the bottom, or the right? Where do you think angle BOC is? And if you said the right, good job. Now remember, I used two arcs here to denote it's different than angle DOC, and I can write 5x plus 18. Okay, now from here, what do we notice? You've got to ask yourself this question. Are these angles beside each other? Are they adjacent? Or are they across from each other and opposite? And what would you say? Are they adjacent or vertical? What do you think? Well, they are next to each other, which means that they fall on the same line. And remember, whenever two angles fall on the same line, they have to add up to 180. Good. And so we can say this. We can say that angle DOC, here, let me switch to a blue. We can say that angle DOC plus angle BOC has got to be equal to 180 degrees. Now from here, let's plug in what we know. We know angle DOC was 7x plus 3 plus our second angle was going to be 5x plus 18 is equal to 180 degrees. Let me try different styles here. Maybe this will fix the issue. This one writes a little worse though. Be forewarned. So when I look at this left side, I see 7x plus 3 plus 5x plus 18. We've got to combine our like terms. Now, one thing your algebra teachers typically taught you is to take like a 7x and a 5x, and you can use like one specific shape to block those off. If you're comfortable doing that, go for it. What is 7x plus 5x? Well, that gives us 12x. Interesting. Now, over here, we have positive 3 and positive 18. What is 3 plus 18? Well, that would give us 21 is equal to 180 degrees. From here, all we have to do is get x by itself. So minus 21 minus 21. Alright, and once that goes away, we're left with this. 12x is equal to, so obviously the issue isn't the stylus. And what is 180 minus 21? Well, that should give us 159. Okay, so from here, how do we get rid of that 12? Well, we know it's being multiplied by the x, so we divide both sides by 12. And then once I divide 159 by 12, I'm going to have to use my calculator for that because even I don't know that off the top of my head. It looks like it says 53 over 4, which as a decimal would be 13.25. So x is equal to 13.25. Now notice we are not done with this problem. It's actually asking us to find the measure of angle DOA. So when you look for it, where is angle DOA? Is that on the top, right, bottom, or left? And if I go from D to O to A, I see it's actually on the left. And which one of these angles is actually congruent to DOA? Is it the 7x plus 3 or the 5x plus 18? Well, in this specific case, it is the 5x plus 18. So all we have to do is plug in this x right there, and we can find our answer. So I'm going to say this. Angle DOA is equal to 5 big parentheses, because we got decimal, plus 18. And what's going to go in that parentheses? Our x was 13.25. I know that kind of looks like a B there, so 13.25. So we know that angle DOA will actually equal. And you know what? What is 5 times 13.25? See, I need a calculator for that one myself. 5 times 13.25 is 66.25. And then don't forget, you got to add that 18 to get that final degree measure. And so we see that our final answer, angle DOA, and I'll use a calculator too just to make certain. So plus 18 would give us 84.25 degrees. Alright, well 84.25 is the answer. I know that's a little bit of a long, kind of difficult problem, but it'll definitely help you out. Good luck. And if you have any questions, I'm sitting in this Zoom chat right now, so please feel free to ask.